So for the cone, here I managed to find a little cap. It looks like a cone. I didn't have a bigger one, by the way. So the bottom of the cone is curved, right? The cone we are making though is going to have a pointy top to it, not like this one, right? So we're going to start off with a oval, right? Because the base of it is an oval. Again, don't make it too big or too small, just a medium size. There's the oval, right? And then from both sides, it's going to go at an angle until they touch. So they should meet at the center of that oval above it, like so. If it's a little lopsided, go ahead and clean it up like I'm about to do, or I am doing. And then erase the line you don't want. Remember to refrain from just erasing the whole thing and starting over, because I guarantee you'll just make the same line or the same shape. Same thing, light coming from the left side, right? Now this shadow is a little tricky, because I've been telling you guys the way you do it is if you just take the oval or the object and smash it, right? This one, if we smash it, it'll also be an oval, but that's not what the shadow for this one looks like. This one we can smash, but instead of going from the top down, from pressing down, squeeze it from the sides and flatten it from the sides. It's a triangle. And again, we're using the front of the oval and the back of the oval, just like we did for the cylinder, right? So the shadow will come out of the bottom and the top, right? So straight out. And then this one from the back side of our oval, instead of straight out though, we're going to have it meet the other line. And so it should make a pointy end, because the top of our cone is pointy. Just like the top of our box is angled, this one's angled, right? And the top of our cylinder is curved, and so is our shadow, the ending of the shadow. So always think about that when you're trying to decide what kind of shadow your object should have. Look at the top of it, and obviously look at where the light is coming from. Okay, so there is our cone with the shadow. Go ahead and erase the inside of the cone. So now we just have the outline and the shadow outline. Okay, now we are ready for the stippling. So remember, stippling is just dots, control dots. Please take your time with this. What's the darkest part of our cone going to be? The left or the right? The left or the right? Yes, the right side, thank you, will be the darker part. So here's what I'm going to do. Remember, we're not drawing an outline with straight lines. The way you kind of quote unquote outline the cone with stippling is you just take it along the edge and put little dots all along the edge. So I'm putting them closer together down here because it is supposed to be darker. And then as I go towards the left, I'm spreading out where I'm putting those dots along that edge. And so you're going to do that same thing for the left side and the right side. So the left side, I'm going to spread them out even more, because this is going to be the brightest area of our cone. Okay. And then the right side, we'll make them a little closer together because it is darker. And this right side does get a little lighter as you go up higher, right? Because it's getting closer to the light. Now the trick with this though is just like with the cylinder, trying to make it look like it's curving, right? Creating that illusion. And that is That will be the tough part for the cone. All right, now that I kind of outlined most of the cone shape with the stippling, now I'm going to go on the inside and start putting dots. Spread them out first, right? Remember not to jam the tip of the pen into your paper because you'll damage it and you'll start making marks onto your paper as well. So right now it all looks like an even spread out dots, right? And it's still, right now it's looking like a triangle, not a cone. All right, now once you have an even spread out number of dots, now you're going to go in and start adding more dots where you need them to be. And like we said earlier, the right bottom side is going to be the darkest. So I'm putting more dots there. And then as I go to the left and up, I'm spreading them out more and having more space. Remember, we don't want our dots to look like tadpoles. No tails. And remember, this one is supposed to take the longest because it's the most tedious one. So you're kind of being able to see how my cone is starting to take shape. Right. So I add a few dots, look at it, see if it's coming along or where I need to add more. Again, I want to remind you not to get too hung up on whether it looks good or bad. Remember, this is practice. I want you to mess up here. If you do, if you don't like it, it's fine. Okay. I'm going to tell you that I'd be the first person to not like some of the paintings or drawings that I make. I'm pretty harsh on myself. Okay, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna give up or toss it. Right? I will keep working on it. Or if sometimes a painting or a drawing just doesn't work out and it doesn't come out the way I want it to, I'm not gonna really toss it. I actually recycle them. What I do is just paint over them or draw over them because I don't like to waste paper, and I just use that as a learning experience. Nothing I do for the first time, like a technique that I learned or a style that I've never done, will come out right the first time. And just like you guys see behind me in my room, all that stuff behind me is practice. None of that is really technically finished. So don't beat yourself up, in other words. All right. How are you guys doing? Be patient, please, with this technique. All right, I'm gonna start making things a little darker towards the right hand side. I may have made my cone a little bigger than I should have, which is why it's taking me longer to finish. Again, this is probably my favorite one because if it's done correctly, it looks the best in terms of it looking cleaner. Let me make this part a little darker. Good, Melanie. I'm glad to hear that. Art in general tends to relax people. So this project that we're going to be doing with these techniques is called Zentangle. So I do it every year because, and if you've noticed, it's like a play on two words. Think about when if we were in school and a teacher was lecturing, sometimes some people tend to doodle on their notes, right, or the pieces of paper, or you tend to zone out. And so Zen, does anyone know what the definition of Zen is or can relate it to? Relax, yes. It's a moment of peace, a moment of relaxation. Sometimes it's right before the storm or something crazy is going to happen, right? So it's a Zen feeling, a relaxed sensation. So these techniques or art in general can be used as a form of therapy for most people. I'm not going to say everyone. Some people don't like it as a therapy because it stresses them out even more because it maybe not coming out the way they want it to. And then they start stressing out or get or cone starting to come to life. Right? True test is when we erase the pencils. All right, I'm gonna go and start. I'm gonna put this on pause, the triangle or the cone itself, and go over to the shadow. Obviously, if you have the bigger Sharpie, you can use for the shadow because it's going to be darker. I would probably not use this on the cone itself because you're going to have differentiating sizes of the dots and it may not look even or accurate. Okay, but for the shadow, since a lot of it's going to be pretty dark, that's why I switched over to the thicker Sharpie. Sounds like some people are going to school and picking these up, which is good. Again, don't hesitate to go to the office, the front office off of Gothard, and say, hey, I'm in Mr. Lopez's art class. Can I pick up the materials? Okay. Better now than later, too, because I may run out of some of the supplies. So I'm outlining the shadow itself with the Sharpie, but obviously with the stippling technique, not just a line. Okay. And dots at the end. I'm making the line or the shadow, making sure that it's showing up from the middle of my cone and not from the side here. Because it's supposed to come out of the middle and not the side. Okay. All right, moment of truth. I'm going to erase my pencil marks and see if it still looks like a cone. Here we go. I'm going to put a few more dots along the edge, the left edge, just to show where the edge ends. Okay. Boom. There is our cone using the stippling technique and all of the other ink shading techniques. All right. Again, don't be too harsh on yourself. If it doesn't look exactly like mine, this is your first time doing it. This is my doesn't, maybe 14th, 20th time doing it. So don't feel bad if it's not coming out the same. Okay.